This video is sponsored by ProtonVPN. So let's say hypothetically, you are not that big of a fan of having your wireless provider giving warrantless surveillance access to the National Security Agency where they can spy on everything you're doing on your home network. I'm not too big of a fan of that myself. Let's say hypothetically you have a particular show you want to watch, but it's not available in the United States, Canada, or wherever else you live, and you want to trick Netflix or wherever else that you're actually somewhere else. That would be pretty nice, so that way you can actually watch what you want to watch. Let's say you're a streamer and you want to live stream, but you're worried about accidentally leaking your IP address on stream or something like that. A VPN is good for all of these scenarios. It provides you protection and it provides you an extra layer of security on your network, which protects you from any shady third parties looking in. Looking at this lovely comparison chart, you can clearly see that Proton's the only one on this list that isn't owned by the exact same company and isn't in one of the 14 Eyes countries. Now, you may not know about the 14 Eyes countries. Let me go ahead and show you. So the 14 Eyes countries includes a ton of these countries, and they're all an alliance which is entirely involved around monitoring internet activity and sharing intelligence. Not exactly the thing you want if you're looking in a VPN. So you can see that they also provide extra stuff like an ad blocker, malware blocker, and a VPN accelerator. They don't have logs. They don't keep logs at all. And you can get 64% off using ProtonVPN. The link is in the description. Check them out if you want a solid VPN. I can highly recommend them. They are definitely solid, and I appreciate Proton for sponsoring today's video. If you don't know how open source works, you don't need to be tech savvy to understand it. I have a little infographic right here. So a developer makes a project, right? And they have the source code that's public. I'll show you a prime example, actually, my own project here. So all the source code is right here. You can read the code yourself of how the program. It's not proprietary. And it's licensed under a simple license where essentially all it says is, you can do what you want with this, just make sure that you credit us for our work. And so we provide all the source code and you can download it and use the program. It's pretty cool. And other people, so the developer releases the source code and the compiled program. The compiled program is the exe that you run, but then the source code is all available too, which is the code behind the exe file. If we release the source code, other people can do what's called forking, where essentially they can take your source code and make their own projects based on that code. It's called forking. And then they can take your code and then add their own improvements, make their own custom, even better version, and then release that, and so on and so forth. And it's just a giant tree. It can go down infinitely. Forks of forks of forks of forks. That's the idea of open source. Now, open source as a concept is really cool because it allows for innovation. It allows for community participation to help make code better. Rather than it being a singular company like Windows, Windows is proprietary. It's not open source. Only a singular company has the code behind it. Only a single company can work on it. And obviously that's not that good. When you have the entire world working on something and community developers from all over the world coming together to work on a project and help improve it, it makes everything better. And obviously, if you make a fork and then make some better improvements, you can send that upstream to the main project, and then everyone benefits from your work. It's just a self-sustaining ecosystem. It's very nice. It also helps if you're suspicious about a program. You think that my program's malicious. If you're looking at Scratchpad right now and you're going, I think this is suspicious, you can go read the source code. It's all right here. It's actually pretty simple to understand. It's Python. I know you have to be more tech savvy to understand the code, but still, it's all there. Now, in Linux, the open source operating system, kind of like Windows, there's Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. So Linux, most systems of Linux, because there's different Linux distros, distributions they call them, because obviously they're all different forks, right? So there's different Linux operating systems. And so most of them use what's called Xorg. And just to try to avoid getting too techie on you, essentially it's a display server. You don't really need to know what that means. It's just, you see how I'm able to see shit on my screen. You see how you know how computers back in the day used to just be text on a black background, and now we have windows and displays and stuff. That's what a display server does. So it's an open source display server, and it's pretty cool. It's the one that Linux uses, a lot of Linux distros use to be able to display stuff, right? Well, here's the thing. So Xorg hasn't been updated in forever. It's essentially been abandoned by its developers. Now, Xorg was hosted on a website called freedesktop.org, and this website hosts code for a bunch of different open source projects. I know it's a very old school looking website though, but if you look through the software page, they have a bunch of different open source software that they host here. And they host the code for the projects, kind of like what I was doing with Scratchpad on GitHub. One of those projects, of course, being Xorg. It's on here. And so Xorg hasn't been updated in forever, and a lot of people have been trying to fork it and have been trying to push updates to it and be like, hey, I worked on some improvements for Xorg, here you go, to make Xorg better, because it's lacking in a lot of ways. And the developers literally just have been doing nothing with the project. They've abandoned it, essentially. So a major contributor to the project, someone who spent a lot of time helping with the project, a community developer, decided, screw it, I'm going to make a fork. This guy named Enrico, who's a major contributor to Xorg, the Xorg project. He's a community developer who has made a lot of contributions to the code, because obviously it's open source, you can help contribute to the code, and he got sick and tired of it. So on June 6th of this year, he decided, I'm going to make my own fork of Xorg. And again, as the basic philosophy of open source, he's perfectly okay to do this. If he has a project he likes, but just he doesn't like the way they're running it, or maybe it's an abandoned project or whatever, or even if he just feels like having a fork, he can make a fork and do whatever he wants with it, as long as it abides by their license, because that's how open source works. Now, he made his own. It's called XLibre, and it's on GitHub now, but it used to be on freedesktop.org. You see, whenever he first published this, they deleted his account, all of his repositories, and closed every single one of his pending merge requests. And they just essentially tried to stifle the whole project. And in response, he spun off the Xorg code into a new project called XLibre, and he moved the entire repository to GitHub, and setting up an independent mailing list and all that stuff so he could work outside of their control. You see, because behind Xorg is a company called RedHat, and RedHat has been behind a lot of scandals and a lot of problems, and they're known for censorship and banning people and just hiding things, pushing it under the rug because they don't like it. And you see, the problem with Xorg and a lot of big open source companies like this is they're backed by big tech companies, and when you think about it, obviously the big tech companies are going to want to stifle their competition. They're not going to want open source to succeed. So these are actually kind of the devil in disguise. A lot of open source organizations out there end up just stifling development and making open source look bad. Now, it gets even worse, because after they ban them off of their website and they've been trying to censor them, well, here's the thing. If anyone's talking about XLibre on Reddit or Hacker News, it gets suppressed and silenced too. Like, someone made a post on the NVIDIA subreddit about XLibre because they were talking about how XLibre is having problems with proprietary NVIDIA drivers, and they were asking for help on it. And they literally deleted that post and censored it completely. So this project has just been getting censored tremendously. Now, one thing I like about this project, because I don't know if many of you knew this, I've talked about it before, but open source has a major problem right now with political activism. And again, I don't like to get into the politics and stuff, and don't fucking go into my comments and be like, oh, this guy believes in this, or this guy believes in that, or whatever. I don't have a problem with the message. I have a problem with the fact that they're doing it that they're putting the message there in the first place. I don't give a shit what their message is. I don't care about the politics. Don't fucking start a whole political war in my comment section. I already know some motherfuckers, some brain dead motherfuckers are going to do that. Listen, I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with is whenever people just are like, okay, let me ask you this. What does an operating system have to do with your sexuality? What if you choose to run Windows, Mac, or Linux, what does that have anything to do with whether you like sucking dick or eating pussy? Genuine question. Like that's my problem with it, is that they literally will come out and do all this political bullshit when literally their project has nothing to do with it. And I talked about it in this video, where it's literally a fucking text editor endorsing Ukraine and literally stand with Hong Kong and all this shit. And it's like, dog, the whole point of a text editor is you open it up and you write some goddamn text and you save it, and that's it. Why do you need to have a political message attached with the software? Because, and even think about the idea of open source. It's supposed to be open for everybody. Whenever you start involving politics, it pushes people away. And the worst part is some people are like, yeah, that's the point. Well, then you're not open source, and stop saying you are, because open source is open for everybody. And that's just total bullshit, trying to push people out, you know, on political messages and whatnot. Like, I even talked about all of these, about how like they were standing against ICE raids by preventing companies from using their software and stuff. And it's like, dog, get shit like this too. Like, if you use our software, you fully agree that, you know, Russia's wrong and all this stuff. And again, I'm not going to get into the political bullshit. I don't care. But what I'm saying is the fact that they're pushing their political shit onto people who just want to use some goddamn software, that's going to kill open source. That's literally the total opposite of open source. But Red Hat and many open source companies have major problems where they push that shit onto people. And the thing I like about this project is they explicitly say that they are against any kind of crap like that. It's an independent project, not affiliated with big tech or subsidiaries or tax evasion tools, nor any political activist groups, state actors, etc. It doesn't matter what country you're from, your political views, your race, sex, age, your food menu, whether you wear boots or heels, whether you're a furry or fairy, it doesn't fucking matter. Whether you're a comic character or what, like, or just an average boring person, nobody gives a shit. It's just, you want to work on some code, cool, welcome. You know, it's like, it's that fucking simple. And they even have a code of conduct. So a lot of open source projects have what's called a code of conduct. And Microsoft has an open source code of conduct as well. And let's go look at their code of conduct. So you can see, be respectful, don't discriminate on any of this stuff. Anyways, there's a major controversy when it comes to codes of conduct with many people who are against the political activist bullshit in open source, because code of conducts are often weaponized to silence and suppress developers who are trying to work on projects just because they have differing views. Like, there's a lot of recorded instances where open source projects abuse the code of conducts to suppress developers who are just trying to work on code and just trying to do shit just because they found out that they have a slightly differing opinion or something. But anyways, their code of conduct is very funny. That's it. It's just their code of conduct 404. I love it. It's fun. It's really fun. But point is this is how open source should be. It doesn't matter who the hell you are. Are you coming here to write code and have a good time? Yeah, you're welcome. That's it. Like plain and simple. We're all here to just work on code. We're not here to talk about political shit, whatever. Because that's the way it should be. Consider showing some support to this project if you want, even just like starring it on GitHub or something. That always helps, because I really appreciate this project, and they're bringing alive something that has been killed off by Red Hat, and they've been absolutely just sitting on doing nothing with, and Red Hat hates them for that. And you see, it's such a good testament to this is such a good test
for how true the idea of open source is, how strong that idea is. Because and that's actually something we've been testing with Raven. So my group called Raven, all right, we make open source software and whatnot too. And our whole thing is that we're not going to involve any political dog shit. Like, it doesn't matter. We're never going to make any political stances when it comes to Raven. Now, me personally, if I want to personally make some statements or whatever for myself, that's fine. But when it comes to anything Raven related, no political shit, no stances, no nothing. So because that's the way it should be. Let's just focus on making good software and services and focus on making privacy and security better. So point is it's a good test to see how true open source is, because if you're getting silenced and you're getting suppressed and banned and censored and everyone is harassing you and preventing you from doing what you want to do with your projects, that is just proof of concept that the idea of open source is just flawed. It doesn't work. So if Red Hat's gonna keep doing that, they're literally just proving a point. They're just proving that open source is bullshit. Because either you believe in open source and you allow open source to exist, or you don't. And they're literally proving that they are not open source and that they are lying and that it's just bullshit. Whenever you look up Red Hat and they say, "Oh yeah, we're open source and all that." Hold on, I spelt it wrong. I'm kind of a dumbass. We're making open source technologies. Like no, you're not. You're literally proving that you're not. Enough rambling now, though. See ya.